Just welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming through to, this is the last session of our waste management 2022 waste management training at Foxdale Court. We're really excited to just kick off this bright year with a topic which I feel is the most profound and interesting, important topic to be speaking about at the moment, which is recycling and waste management. My name is Angelica. I'm the Managing Director at Foxdale Court, which is an office and retail development and known as Zambia's greenest building. So just to put it into context, today we are going to be focusing on waste management, but here at Foxdale Court, we have lots of different green initiatives. So we have an energy efficiency initiative, rainwater harvesting, sewage treatment, and the waste management. So in terms of the energy efficiency side, we have Zambia's third largest solar plant on our roof. Our solar plant consists of 380 solar panels. We're quite lucky to have a huge proportion of our roof that faces north. So these were the original designs for our solar plant. You can see that we've got literally just behind you that's the Mama Betty building, and this building over here is the Kenneth Kahunda building, and we have 380 solar panels spread across the two roofs. You can see some beautiful pictures over there, and it means that 23% of the power that we use in this building is generated through our own in-house solar system, and it's the most rewarding thing to go up there and look at that plant, and it's absolutely silent, completely quiet, and it's just harnessing the power of the sun and generating power. So it is the third largest in Zambia at the moment. These are just some pictures of the launch of our solar plant. We were lucky to have Janet Rogan, the UN coordinator, and Davis Mwango, the Deputy Minister of Environment at the time, who officially opened it. We commissioned our solar plant just over 6 years ago, and to date we've generated just over 700,000 kilowatt hours of power, and we've avoided 500,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide emissions. So a really huge amount. We also have a rainwater harvesting system at Foxdale Court. So again, on the Mama Betty building just behind you, if you do just have a look behind, if you turn your heads around, you'll see along the edge of the roof, there's a big gutter, really wide, sort of 30 centimeter gutter, and there's some big downpipes. And we're collecting the rainwater. When it rains, we then collect that rainwater, and it feeds into downpipes, and then we store it in these. We've got 5 12,000 litre tanks where the water is stored in, and we use that for our toilet flushing and also for our garden irrigation. And then a few years ago, we did an initiative with some of our members of staff, because when we talk about rainwater harvesting, I think most people are actually doing a little bit of rainwater harvesting during the rainy season on a daily basis. If you literally just take a dish or a bucket of water and you put it along your roof, or just literally leave it outside. But in Zambia, we have a lot of people that put a little dish right outside of their roof and collect that rainwater, and then in the morning that's used for washing plates, washing clothes, for drinking, for cooking as well. So that's basically rainwater harvesting. But we can then take it one step further by connecting a house, connect a gutter along it, a downpipe, and for our staff we installed 500 litre tanks with a little tap at the end of the tank, so that during the rainy season they had running water directly outside of their house. We also have a sewage treatment plant at Foxdale Court, where every time you wash your hands in a basin, every time you flush the toilet, and there's 5 liters of water running into the septic tank, and with Pick and Pay and Chi Chicken and Panarotis, all the washing that you're doing, all that water is being fed into our sewage treatment plant, and we purify that water during the daytime, and at night we've got a very dedicated team of gardeners, 2 gardeners that come in every single night at Foxdale Court, and they empty out all of these tanks. It's about, on average, about 60,000 litres of water that we're then emptying out on a daily basis, and we're irrigating our gardens with the purified sewage water. And then we have our waste management, which is what we're going to be focusing on today, but just wanted to put it all into context for you. So these are some pictures of our journey. Foxdale Court this year will be 11 years old. And when we started our journey, the concept of this building, it wasn't actually to have a green building. When I started building, I wasn't actually very aware of sustainable buildings. But when we opened the building, it's the landlord's responsibility to manage the waste. At that time, we had a Spar supermarket and a few other line shops as well. And literally, we opened on day one, and there was a mountain of garbage outside, at the back of the supermarket. I went out and I looked at it, and these are some pictures of the very early days. But there was cardboard, there were newspapers, there was plastic, and there was a lot of organic waste as well. I sort of looked at it and I said, oh my goodness, we can't be loading this onto a truck and taking it to a dump site. There must be some recycling companies in Zambia. We must be able to separate. And so that's what inspired our journey. And it really has just been year by year, day by day, month by month, year by year, and now decade. We've hit 1 decade last year of just constantly taking small steps in managing our waste. So this was the early days. We found a company called the Central Recycling Company. They were able to pick up the cardboard boxes, and you can see them sort of in this picture rummaging through this pile, picking out cardboard boxes. We then created our waste management area, put different bins in. They were labeled. Unfortunately, no one really followed it, and I'd be in the waste management area every day, literally pulling my hair out, because there's just waste all over the place. No one was really following it. But here you can see in this picture, there's cardboard, there's hard plastic, there's food waste, and these are all items which can be recycled. And what's amazing is that they can be recycled locally. We have recycling companies that can recycle paper and plastic, and composting can be done at home and at Foxdale Court. We do it at the back here. We compost in-house. So this is what our waste management area looked like in 2020, sort of roughly about 10 years after we opened the building. And we'd invested in some cages to separate the paper, to separate the plastic. We've invested in these composting machines. It's a big drum, and we layer the food waste, and then sawdust. Food waste is a nitrate, it's a green material, and then sawdust is a brown material, it's a carbon, and we layer the two together, food and sawdust, until it's full. Seal the drum and turn it on a daily basis, and it turns into beautiful compost. So there you can just see the food, the paper, the plastic. This is how we compost, and we then use the compost, which is this really beautiful material that you can see here, and we use that in our gardens around Foxdale Court. But literally last year, these are some pictures of what our waste management area looked like. We had gone back to first base, or even worse than that. And so you wonder, should we just load this onto a truck and send it off to a dump site? Why, or should we bother about separating the waste? Why do we care so much about all of this? And why have you all come to today's talk? And why are we so fussed about recycling at Foxdale Court? And why do we have all of these separate bins? Are we wasting our time? We're not. The reason why we're doing it is because of this. So they say in Zambia that we don't have any mountains, but we do have a mountain, and that mountain is Mount Chunga, and that's the dump site. So if you haven't seen a mountain before, go over to Mount Chunga, and this is what it looks like. So we have this gigantic mountain of paper, plastic, food waste, tins, glass, and then we have big earth-moving equipment, big excavators that literally drive on top of the waste, and they try to compact it into the ground, and then they burn the waste as well. And we all know the smell of plastic being burnt. It's that sweet smell, and those really black fumes that are going into the atmosphere, releasing lots of huge volumes of carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere. atmosphere. So there's fires, and then you have what they call the scavengers. So you have a lot of children and women running around bare feet on these huge piles, and it's hot, there's fires, there's smoke, and they're then trying to pick out cardboard. They're picking out plastic, and they're then taking them onwards to our local recycling companies in Zambia, because trash is cash. There's an absolute direct equivalent between them. And so for your plastic, this is nice, clean plastic. If you take this clean plastic to a plastic recycling company, there's M&F Packaging, there's Habib Enterprises, they will pay you 1 kwacha 70 ngwe for clean plastic. If it's dirty plastic, so if you've found it in the dump site and it's been now mixed up with some organic matter and it's a bit smelly and they'll need to spend money to then wash it, they'll pay you 1 kwacha 50 for unwashed plastic. If you take the paper companies, there's Zambezi Paper Mill. If you take cardboard to Zambezi Paper Mill, they will pay you 1 kwacha 20 ngwe per kilo for your paper. And then you've got your organic matter. So who bought fertilizer this season? How much is the price of fertilizer? I think it's just over about 300 kwacha for a bag of your fertilizer, your urea. You're going up to one. During the rainy season, everyone's crying for your fertilizer and urea. But what is the best fertilizer that you can have? It's literally this. It's compost. And if you make it yourself, it's free. You can convert this into this and use it on your fields and for your vegetables. So what are we doing with our money? What are we doing? We're burning it. That's what we're doing. Every time we have just one single bin and we put our food waste, we put our plastic, we put our paper inside that bin, and then we wait for the dump truck, for the waste truck to come through, and we literally load it onto the truck, and they take it off to the dump site. We are literally burning our kwacha. So when you see this, I'd like you to see kwacha notes. See 5 kwacha notes, 10 kwacha notes all together. You put it in a pile together. This is 100 kwacha. All of this, a pile one. You put it all together. You've got another 100 kwacha. All of this. When you bought your urea and your fertilizer, and you spent almost 500 kwacha buying that. Now so in Zambia, what we're doing is we're putting all of this. We're putting kwacha money into one big bin, and then we're paying a dump truck. We're paying them. So say. What is it, about 100 kwacha a month or so to have your waste removed, and we're loading kwacha notes onto the dump truck, shoveling it onto the dump truck, driving it off to Chunga dump site, and then burning it, and then we've got excavators. So think when you see the Chunga dump site, you need to see a pile of money, kwacha money. And then you've got excavators driving on top of this kwacha money, compacting it into the ground, people burning it, and then you've got a few, young children, women running around through those piles of money and trying to gather them together, to take them to selling your plastic, your paper onwards, so that they can feed their families. Does it make sense? Really? It doesn't make sense. And by literally just, whenever I'm on the road in minibuses, you'll see somebody take plastic and just throw it out of the window. You'll see banana peels, being thrown out of the window. Literally, that people are taking their kwacha money and throwing it out of the window like that, and making our city the dirty city of Lusaka. That's what we live in. Walk outside of the door. The drainages are littered with garbage. Wherever you go, you walk out of your doorstep and it's just garbage all over the place. Our rivers, in Guerrero River, is full of plastic. It's and then we get flooding, and you've got plastics just flooding all the fields. You walk through in Guerrero area, you walk through some of the fields where the farmers are, and it's just covered in garbage. And they say there's nothing that they can do, because the next rain that comes and the rivers flood, and it's just heaps of garbage, filling their fields. And then other people during the rainy season, they take advantage of the rain and they take their waste and they shove it into the drains really quickly so that it runs off and it becomes somebody else's problem. They don't have to spend that 50 or 100 kwacha for a waste removal company. Come on, does it make sense? We're taking our money and throwing it away. And then it also creates your cholera, your dysentery, typhoid. But these pictures are common pictures in Lusaka. Walk around and we're living in this very, very dirty city. So because of the state of our own waste management area last year, and we're a green building, and we celebrate World Environment Day on an annual basis, last year on the 4th of June, we said, guys, let's go to the dump site. Let's have a look at it. Let's see, what's going on. So we went on a trip. We had a bus. Many of our team members who are here today went on that trip. We went to see Mount Chunga, as you know, I like to call it, and we saw what was going on. You see the fires. You can smell that sweet smell of plastic being burnt, and you can see the scavengers walking around, and you see the number of trucks. It's just truck after truck after truck, 40-ton trucks coming in, just piled up with garbage, and the stench. From there, we then went onwards to Zambia's largest plastic recycling company, which is called M&F Packaging. And they showed us all the products that they're making locally. You can see some pictures of them here. It's everything that we're using on a daily basis. It's cups, it's plastic plates, it's hangers, there's children's toys, there's construction material that they're making, conduit pipes, wall ventilation pipes, all these items which they're making locally. So you can see the process here. So they work with some of these people from the dump site who then bring them plastic bottles. What was incredible to see was lollipop sticks. Have you ever thought about when you eat a lollipop stick it's a plastic stick? So they worked with women that then collected literally millions of little plastic sticks, because literally down to that level, it can be recycled and turned into new plastic products. Broken plastic toys, greenhouse plastics, black plastics from construction. They then wash the plastics. So this is a picture of the clean plastic. They then melt it down and they cool it down, and then they cut it into these small little beads, like little plastic pellets. And that's their raw material that they then use to then produce these materials, like as you can see here, your plates and your plastic spoons and construction material. But what was really interesting to hear is the general manager there explained to us that they're still having to import the raw material, the plastic raw material from South Africa. And he explained that they're not receiving enough local recyclable plastic for their inputs. They have a huge deficit of inputs. And then he also said that the plastic that they do receive, mainly from the dump site, it's dirty. So they need to spend money washing that plastic with water. They spend power. They've got a machine that turns it around. They've got labor to wash it. So if we can provide a company like that with clean plastic, so that then they don't have to spend money to wash it, and if we're providing them with a locally sourced plastic, which we're using when we eat bread and when we when we have some yogurt and carrier bags from supermarkets, they can then reduce the price of those consumables. They can reduce the price of spoons, of plates, of small plastic children's toys. Now, come on. Does that not make sense? We can buy up, rather than buying a spoon for 10 kwacha, you can buy it for 7 kwacha, because we literally are giving them nice clean plastic and local plastic, and they don't have to spend money on importing those inputs, importing that plastic from South Africa. Come on, does that not make sense? But what are we doing with our plastic again? We're throwing it out of the window, we're throwing it on the floor, we're throwing it into Ingwerere River, we're taking it to the dump site, we're burning it. It really makes sense. So there is an alternative to the way that we're living and the way we're currently disposing of our waste. And it starts with each and every one of you, and it starts with separation. So that's why at Foxdale Court we have these bins in all of your eateries, at Chi Chicken, at Panarottis, and Pick and Pay, in your offices, in your homes as well. Please make sure that you have your separate baskets, your separate bins. These are some of the baskets. These are from my house, so I just have it in a basket. You can use a plastic dish as well. You can use a cardboard box. I used to use cardboard boxes to separate my waste. Literally, you don't have to spend any money on buying something to separate your waste. Your food waste as well. So this is my bin from home, but you can literally use a plastic dish for your food waste. You can put another plastic dish on top of it. You can use a bucket when you've been finished, your boom soap, your washing powder, a bucket. So it's nice 20-liter buckets. You can use that for your food waste. Put a little bin on top of it. This is where it starts, separating. So at Foxdale Court, we do have some guidelines on what we can recycle, and that's food, paper, plastic, and other. We had a lovely question from a gentleman yesterday, and he was saying, but what about tin? There's a lot of tin that I see around, and we have, I think it was last year, we did find a company who can recycle tin. So we are working on sort of expanding our little array of bins to add a bin for tin. But to be honest, we're not even getting this right. And I know that at Foxdale Court, and what we're speaking about today, is we've taken a huge step, because the government, their message is put garbage in the bin. Because at the moment, you've still got, everyone is still throwing garbage left, right, and center into rivers and streams and on the floors and in the drainages, and people aren't even putting it in a bin. And I know we're going, whoa, put it in the correct bin, We're taking a huge step. But we're Zambians, and we're smart, we're clever. We can do this. We can do this. It makes absolute sense. So why not take that big leap and just that we can have a green economy in Zambia? And it starts today. So what can we turn the paper into? There's local companies. We have entrepreneurs that come here to Foxdale Court. They come with a pickup, and they pick up these cardboard boxes, and they've got a little plant in their backyard making egg cartons. There's larger companies as well making egg cartons as well. Then you've got companies like Sobi that are making toilet paper locally. You've also got Zambezi Paper Mill. They make huge sheets of recycled paper, literally from your cardboard boxes, from newspaper, and they turn them. And then you've got entrepreneurs buying that recycled paper, turning it into carrier bags, also turning it into cardboard boxes, packaging materials. All of this is happening locally. Your plastics, what can you do with your plastics? So many things, as you saw from that M&F packaging, but there's also companies like Lamasat that they're making water tanks, conduit pipes, spoons. There's a fantastic company making recycled furniture out of recycled plastic, hose pipes, water bottles. Water bottles are made out of plastic. And then the big one is Milli Mill sacks. I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but the Milli Mill sacks are made out of plastic. I've been to one of the plastic recycling factories. So again, most of these companies are still buying their raw materials from South Africa or from China, these raw so PVC inputs to make these products. But if we can provide them with the plastics that we're already using locally, they can reuse them. We can bring down the cost of making Milli Mill sacks. That will have a ripple effect and bring down the cost of buying your Milli Mill. So again, it just makes sense, and that's why we recycle at Foxdale Court. And then you've got your food waste. All of this food waste makes the most beautiful compost, which you can then use in your gardens at home, in your fields.